Hey guys, I'm here to get into Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, which came out this year, 2023. And instantly, this struck me as a film, and I know I've never done this before. I've never come out and gushed about a film as much as The Irishman. I mean, Martin Scorsese makes me want to just get excited in a very unique way. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and chart my raw thoughts on Killers of the Flower Moon because the impact literally felt just like it was the first time watching There Be Blood, and I had that foreshadowed before going into it. So I think that the fact it lived up to that expectation is just really blowing me away right now because that is a particular spirit. It feels a lot like The Godfather, seeing The Godfather too. It's just like an overwhelming epic, perfect epic on a rise and fall American story. And I'm not going to spoil one iota about this film, but it's just about to come out, and I'm just going to encourage everybody who is possibly able to handle an R-rated film to see this film because this is the most subtle film Martin Scorsese has ever made, and it's a summation of everything he's done. And I feel like this we are in the prime era of Martin Scorsese, as it turns out. And this is a one of a kind genius that's just now hitting me. He's on his sixth decade of being a genius director. Like basically, he's doing the same thing that the Rolling Stones are doing, which is just to be going on and on. But Martin Scorsese is actually like genius level of Stanley Kubrick of the process. So this is like Martin Scorsese is one of the greatest gifts of a human being, I think, of all time. So I think what he did with this film literally evolved silence even further. So now this is my favorite Martin Scorsese film. I will go ahead and say that with certainty because the impact literally felt like the film I always wanted to see from Martin Scorsese, but I've never quite seen. He made basically something of a western here, a western where I'm not going to say anything about like a big mystery thriller living inside of all this. So this is like an epic western mystery thriller and crime film all the same. But it's just like and because I feel like the past three films he's made landed something perfect. Like Silence, he started with this intensely spiritual outlook, and that was my favorite film of his until this just rethroned it last night. After taking it in for a few hours. Um, and then Irishman's equally perfect, but now I'm like, this one expands further on originality. I think that Martin Scorsese came around with a completely different lens than he's ever offered before for the 2020s. And it is very much like it feels like a There'll Be Blood-esque outlook. And there's something extremely risky about the way this film plays out in its own kind of way. It does feel pretty rule breaking. That's why Martin Scorsese's been such a genius right now because he can still break the rules in a youthful exuberance, but with extreme maturity. He has that. This is an extremely maturely made film. Like it feels like watching The Godfather and There'll Be Blood. That's literally like the best accurate way I can describe this whole film. You just watch literally Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio just have. I mean, I really can't say much without spoiling, but all I'm gonna say for now is just it's pretty insane what it took me through. It definitely hit me on some things that have changed my perspective on things just overnight, literally. As far as just I won't say any more. I mean, it's just that mysterious of a film. It deserves to be mysterious because it feels like watching something like Psycho for the first time. I'll say it like that. That's another film that made me think of a little bit as far as moments in the mystery where it's just like this feels like I'm watching Psycho. And going through those twists for the first time because it's so good. And some of my favorite acting ever from Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro is just incredible in this film. I mean, he's different than he's ever been before. This is a completely different shade. It deals with the equal spades of loneliness that Taxi Driver takes you through. That's why it's like, okay, this transcends everything. It's just the best film I've ever seen on a gloomy outlook, and it literally is just also like and it's also the best depicted depiction of womanhood ever since he's made since Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. I've always wanted to see this again from Martin Scorsese. He's never been this much of a pro-feminist within all of this madness. Oh my goodness, I can't express that enough because this is like a big love letter to Native American culture and just the downfall that was literally going on to it. And he literally tells it all of it in this film. So this is he's in an equally spiritual mood, but he's way more to the point of like just intense drama within that. So it's like intense cautionary tale. Just really wanted to pick something powerfully intense that situations that really happened. Like, this is all a true story. That's what's even more. It's even more hit me even harder about it. I mean, Martin Scorsese, I know, been building up to this one for a long time. Sometimes he builds up for stuff forever. Like Gangs in New York, that wasn't one of my favorites. But this, however, is the complete opposite. I mean, this literally lands as a perfect film where it's 3.5 hours, and I just wanted it to be another hour longer, honestly. I was just bummed that it ended. Literally, this is like what it felt like seeing this is what it feels like seeing the best films for the first time. It just, you literally cannot wait for it to end. But yeah, I mean, this is easily the best film of 2023. You don't have Oppenheimer. I mean, Christopher Nolan came around this year as a genius also. But I think that because that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in directors in this decade who have completely different outlooks on life as opposed to anything they did before. Because Christopher Nolan made his best film this year, and Martin Scorsese has made his best film this year. So this is unique. I think they were both onto a unique sort of outlook that is kind of revolutionary and life changing, and it does completely relate in its own kind of way. But what this film does And again, just I mean, I can't get over Glasshead's character. I mean, yeah, she deserves to take on big time because this character is just so freaking subtle. About the most subtle performances. She's like the literally Marlon Brando and The Godfather levels of subtle in this film throughout. But it literally just has this presence to it. And it captures, like, again, violence in the most harsh violence in the most subtle way. So this is like this kind of just transcended even like Casino for me in some ways. You know, like everything he's done before Departed, like, and those are all my all-time favorite films, top 100 films easily, but even top 50. Like, but this is like top, like this is like my top 20. So this is just a really original presence of capturing raw crime in American history, raw crime and raw violence as it plays out, very organically. Like you kind of see the just kind of the light and dark of the characters within just everything as it happens. But yeah, Lily Gladstone again is genius in this film, and Martin Scorsese's just he's just a revolution of a man, literally. To be able to make something like this film is this is literally the most complicated, I think, character Leonardo DiCaprio's ever played. This is literally the most multi-complex. This means everything. It feels like right now. And so I'm only going to keep seeing it more and more in theaters while it's out, because this is truly one of the darkest, but it's just one of the darkest films Martin Scorsese has made. Yeah, it is. This is a really dark film because it really takes you right through speechless kind of just mystery, literally, and a massive downfall as it gradually unfolds, basically. So extremely devastating film. Yeah, but not it's a melancholic, more like There Will Be Bloodstone. It's like a melancholic kind of depressing, I would say, rather than like a tear-inducing depressing. This is my favorite shade right here. I love that shade of melancholic, because that's what you get the experience this shade, and you get the light side, which all these directors are on to also. But I love this performance from Robert De Niro. I'm kind of blown away by this. And this is the best he's been literally since the 90s. I mean, I think the best. Last time he was this great was literally Jackie Brown. I think. His goodness, Lily Gladstone is emotional. She's like the emotional side by lack of words. She's like minimal, a complete like you see like this like minimalist perspective living and looming all over this, and it's pretty spellbinding, honestly. This film goes by so fast, and it's 3.5 hours running. It felt like it was 2 hours. I'm serious. It didn't feel long at all. This literally like the way Magnolia feels the first time. It's like, this is, God, I love this even better because this is like 100% worth every bit of moments it takes you through. This is the most relatable, perhaps, modern American film I've seen, at least this decade, and perhaps any. Looking back, I'm like, this feels like the biggest since The Master, perhaps, or maybe the most original American film since The Master that we've gotten. So this is a masterpiece. It's extremely original, and it's extremely well textured in its world building and just screenplay. And it's so easy to just get into where the character's state of mind is. It's something very brutal, and just it's always metaphorical. Like, it always feels like it represents just like just American a downfall of American spirit. It's so epic that literally just it gets under your skin the entire way through. Literally. About just how power literally stinks in the end. Literally, that's like it's like psychopaths are corrupt for this power, and then you just kind of witness this crazy mystery about all of it. So, I mean, this is Martin Scorsese at his all-time best. I'm serious. Like I think when he's getting older, there was something about him that's just like I think his priest is coming out of him more and more in every film. He's like literally become the modern Ingmar Bergman. It feels like with this last 3 films. I think. He was like Ingmar Bergman, like with Silence particularly, and then it kind of came out again in like The Irishman with a crime outlook, and now we're like in a Western outlook of crime as opposed to like the urban outlook. So this is a little more relatable, I think, in atmosphere right from the start. I think again that's what There Will Be Blood kind of captures. So well as The Godfather, it's more like the isolated parts of like all this as opposed to just like the chaotic parts of it. This is kind of capturing more. This is more interested in isolated moments within characters, and I mean. It really is just capturing a shameful period in such a great, incredible way. That's just a different lens than a film like Django Unchained. That's another film, that kind of took me through a lot of this. It's like I'm just so shocked this happened in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. But here in Killers of the Flower Moon, it kind of feels more like this is just crazy. I mean, this happened basically. Like it's absolutely devastating, and it's extremely fascinating. That's the way it kind of feels as you're watching all this. There is an emotional. But it's like the healthiest, maybe a very organic, healthy perspective, feminist perspective on all of this. That's kind of what the whole film actually kind of comes out like. Maybe The Godfather, There Will Be Blood have a feminist outlook on American tragedy, and I'm kind of seeing the same thing here. literally. I think Martin Scorsese like kind of has something about feminine out, like, and the way that the characters just kind of go through their evolutions feels very feminine here. Never has it been. That's what I've always wanted from Martin Scorsese, because he's always been so harsh, hyper masculine. Now all of his other films seem harsh, hyper masculine outside of Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. By contrast to how well this just captured loneliness from more of a Martin Scorsese being more of a very angelic perspective, you could say. And I mean, yeah, this is a pretty it doesn't feel demanding at all. I guess the thing about it, you just watch it. It's just the master does his thing, man. Master Martin Scorsese. He's not, obviously, you're not supposed to do that, but I mean, you know what? This film just took me through something of such a perfect downfall that I'm just hyper. So, you know, weird thing will fly out occasionally, but I'll make another review perhaps another time once I calm down about it. I'll probably just gonna have to see this a few more times, because it's like there's so much mystery about it that literally it's still ahead of me too. Like, it's still a big mystery film to me. As much as it is, I'm just blown away. I'm literally just blown away. But I instantly fell in love with it. It wasn't any kind of sense of growing on me. It was just, this is clearly a passion project, and it really doesn't waste a second of its frame. Literally every moment feels like it is essential to building up towards just perhaps the most entertaining film I've ever seen. One of them, at least, feels that way right now. Just feels extremely entertaining and enlightening and powerful all the same. You're just watching everything between these three characters particularly. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Lily Gladstone. I mean, these three characters really are portraying a mysterious balance here that, yep, it'll speak for itself when you see it. That's all I could say. But it's just a perfect film. Feels like the ultimate wise peacemaker came around and made the best peacemaker film he ever made. Seriously, Martin Scorsese. Leave it to Martin Scorsese to do that. Goodness, and he's come around and changed my life so many times. Now I'm like, this is the way he just did it again. So I'm still right under the wings of what this film just did to me. You know, like, it's crazy. This is gonna forever influence every film I make moving forward, most definitely. This is extremely. I don't know. I watched this. It somehow just feels extremely inspiring, and and you know, there is that ego side of I can do this, and like watching this is just like, wow, this is what it feels like to just be able to passionately do it and do it well, you know, and in such an epic and massive scope, you know, because you know, it's like I have a friend who would like joke. It's like, it seems like if I had to make a film over 3 hours long, I would want to just die. But basically, Martin Scorsese will do that and do it happily. You know, because he's so happy about every single buzz and moment of filmmaking that literally this felt like the most joy. Like, he had the most. He probably was having the best time of his life making this film. I think he really did put such a massive heart into this film about something of an isolated atmosphere. This is an isolated atmosphere of more of an isolated Western type of atmosphere rather than an urban. It's pretty different for Martin Scorsese. So yeah, this is just top tier film from start to finish. I've never been more amazed by a modern film. I think Oppenheimer is the last time this happened. So it's just equally up. Yeah, that's a perfect film too. But this just might hit me. This hit me on a whole other league of its own entirely. This is like a one of a kind, epic, and true. So to the spirit in every single moment. I hope this film is successful. I don't know. This could be a polarizing film. I will see if this hits. I highly doubt this will land like as strong as. I hope so, but we'll see. I don't. Who knows? But all I can say is, wow, you know, it certainly was that for me. So this was like walking out of one of those, and I'm really thanking God right now I got to see that in theaters, because yeah, this was a perfect experience, and I really recommend this film to everybody who's a bit able to handle an R-rated film, and it's coming to theaters. It's about to take off like today, literally in theaters, October 20th. So, man, I'll mark this as a day, just like I did with School of Rock 2003. I think this literally just might have marked another statement as like an evolutionary as a filmmaker. I mean, this has to be kind of like an eye that's needed to portray a downfall right here. This is a mystery film that literally felt as mysterious as it's like all these influences were coming into a wholly original film, literally. Like a lot of Alfred Hitchcock I felt too, you know, in the mystery. A lot of just a summation of everything Martin Scorsese's done. Like much like how David Lynch was operating in Twin Peaks: The Return, I could see something like that happening with The Irishman with Martin Scorsese. But here it's like he took that and made it even more original and made it even more fresh and its own kind of film entirely. So yeah, I recommend checking this out in theaters if you can. Just check this out, period, whenever you get the chance. And yeah, this is quite a perfect film of its own. It is kind of it's a whole new level from evolving kind of a lot of what There Will Be Blood particularly was doing, I think. And this just kind of brings that to our time. So, yeah, I'll yeah, I'm just gonna only have to see this film, and I'll only have, I suppose I might do another review in time on it. But this is just a raw reaction. I've never done this, but I feel like this is worth it just so I could kind of get people excited to watch it, honestly, just because that was a buzz that I've never, this film was certainly a buzz. I highly recommend this film. I'm curious to see what people think. I'm really excited to see just how I'm really excited to see how this film is perceived, because this is a one of a kind original masterpiece from Martin Scorsese.